Hello, good evening, and welcome to Unacademy IAS, a one stop destination for all the English medium civil services aspirants. This is Shyam Kagud here, taking up the Hindu news analysis on this Republic Day, and this is a list of the topics that I'm going to cover. Before I start the session, please do let me know that I'm audible and visible for all of you. Those present, give the confirmation. Am I audible and visible? Great. Thanks a lot. So, in today's session, I'll be taking a total of 8 articles, all of them from the daily edition of Hindu newspaper. The discussion will be comprehensive. We are going to cover the topics from polity, economics, science and technology, international relations, etc. So that all the areas which are relevant for your UPSC examination, prelims as well as mains, will be covered in this particular session. If you're liking the initiative, do not forget to hit the like button. If you are yet to join our YouTube channel, kindly do it right now. Now, before I start, here are two very important announcements. The first one, a lot of you are preparing for the Civil Services Examination 2027, and many of you even for 2028. This is the right time to start your preparation. As part of the Republic Day celebrations, the unacademic courses are available at a discounted price 17,999, the lowest ever. Those interested, check out the details by clicking on the link provided in the description below. And once you check the details in the website, whatever is the price mentioned there, do not be worried. Use the code IAS English and the price shall be reduced to this number. Do not miss out. Check out the details. The link is provided in the description of the video. Now, before I start with the first article, this is the announcement for those appearing for the upcoming prelims examination. I've already taken the special classes where I've discussed MCQs on current affairs from January 2025 to December 2025. I've taken two other special classes covering MCQs on important topics such as RBI, right? The areas such as the financial market, etc. Tomorrow at 11 a.m. I repeat, tomorrow, that is 27th January 2026 at 11 a.m. I'm going to conduct one more MCQ test, and this will be on another two important topics for the upcoming prelims: international trade and agriculture. If you're interested in joining, all you need to do is scan the QR code which is visible, right? There should be a QR code towards the right side. Please scan the QR code, hit on the button enroll me, and once the session starts, you will be intimated. But more importantly, join the session, solve the MCQs. Let's start. The first article, India-UAE Ties, Stability, Substance, Strategic Union. Last week, something very interesting happened. Head of the state, that is the head of United Arab Emirates, made a surprise visit to India. Right? Made a surprise visit to India. And this particular visit was announced by the government of India on the same day when the visit took place. And more interestingly, the visit was very short in the sense it hardly ended in 2 hours. It was just a visit of hardly 2 hours. But according to the statements issued by the government of India, during these particular 2 hours, lot of important areas, lot of important issues and intent of agreements was signed between both of the parties, that is between India and UAE. Now, if you look at what is the importance of this particular visit, what led to this particular visit, although there are no particular reasons which have been cited by the government of either sides, you will realize that the churn that is happening, the changes or the developments that are happening in the Middle East actually led to this particular short visit of the head of the state of UAE to India. As such, India and UAE have signed the strategic cooperation agreement back in the year 2017 itself. There is an agreement between both of them which was signed back in the year 2017. But what led to this particular sudden visit, sudden and short visit? But in terms of productivity, lot of outcomes have been achieved. The reasons are not very hard to find by. In recent times, there are a lot of changes that are happening in the Middle East. For example, some time ago, there was an agreement, that is the defense cooperation agreement that was signed between Saudi Arabia and Pakistan, which is basically on the lines of NATO, where Pakistan has basically provided, it has agreed to provide security in case anybody attacks Saudi Arabia. And in addition to this, what happened in southern Yemen, that these two particular countries were involved there. They were basically supporting the two opposite sides. It actually led to the forces from Saudi Arabia attacking the ship from United Arab Emirates, and the forces which were present of UAE had to withdraw. Right? So there were multiple events that were happening in the Middle East, and that actually led to certain exclusion of this particular country in the right, let's say, the activities there. And as such, now there is a very close competition that is happening between both Saudi as well as UAE, where each one of them or both of them want to portray their market as the most progressive, their market as the one where many investors need to invest, the future of the globe or the growth will happen here, the development of the technologies would take place here, etc. So when you look at in this particular context, you will realize, yes, this is a very important meet. And what has been the outcome of this particular meet? Have a look at this. The latest visit has produced a wide-ranging set of outcomes. There is an intent to basically promote or sign a defense cooperation agreement. A joint space initiative has been proposed. Again, please understand, the negotiations are happening, the talks are taking place. Nothing solidly has been signed as of now, except on certain important areas. For example, in terms of trade, there is an agreement which is already in place. What kind of agreement? Both India and UAE back in the year 2022 signed a SEPA agreement. SEPA, Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement. And this is nothing new in the context of India, by the way. India has been signing multiple FTAs with multiple countries around the world. And as such, right now, the final contours or final negotiations are taking place between the FTA between India and European Union, which both the sides, India as well as European Union, have called this as mother of all the trade deals. Let's wait and see what will be the final details in the trade agreement between India and European Union. But come to the point here, in the context of India and UAE, there is a trade agreement. The SEPA was signed in 2022, in the February 2022, and came into force from 1st May 2022. And as a result of this, the trade between both of the sides, has increased. Right now, the total trade between both of the sides has crossed $100 billion. Please remember, the trade has crossed more than $100 billion. And the target which has been set up now, according to the, let's say, the statements issued by the authorities after the visit, now the target is to make the bilateral trade $200 billion by 2032. 200 billions by 2032. Not a small number. That's a very, very large number of bilateral trade, by the way. This is one very important outcome. In addition to this, there are also discussions in terms of investments to be done in India. And this is important, by the way. Why? One of the biggest investors in India has been multiple sovereign wealth funds, which are owned by multiple countries around the world. There is one sovereign wealth fund, Abu Dhabi Investment Authority. I repeat, Abu Dhabi Investment Authority, ADIA. Abu Dhabi Investment Authority has already agreed to invest huge amount of money in National Infrastructure Investment Fund, a semi-sovereign owned fund in India. That is not completely owned, part of it is owned by Government of India. But in addition to this, the investments have been proposed in GIFT IFSC. All of you heard of GIFT IFSC? Please do let me know in the chat section. Gujarat International Financial Tech, right? So GIFT IFSC, International Financial Services Center. So huge amount of investments have been done, have been proposed to be done in GIFT IFSC. In addition to this, there is one more place in Gujarat now, which is becoming very much attractive regarding investments. Dholera. Remember the place. Dholera. Dholera now has an international airport. It has a huge amount of investments. It has a lot of infrastructure. It has been classified as a special investment region by the government. Right? So a lot of investments are happening in Dholera, And UAE has proposed to invest huge amount of money in this place as well. So, in addition to security, in addition to defense, in addition to trade, lot of proposals have been done in the context of investment, as well as a 10-year agreement to supply LNG to India. So these are some of the very important outcomes that have been achieved with the recent visit of the head of the state of, or the head of United Arab Emirates to India. Everybody is okay with the discussion here? Please do let me know in the chat section. Everybody is okay? And those who are asking, sir, PPT, after the session is over, go to our official Telegram channel. In the official Telegram channel, the PPT, in the form of PDF will be uploaded, download it. Okay, now, associated with this, please solve the MCQ and tell me what is the answer very quickly. India and UAE both are members of which of the following groupings? G20, Indian Ocean Rim Association, IORA, BRICS, as well as I2U2. India and UAE both are members of which of the following groupings? Please do let me know what is the correct answer. Aman Singh says option D. What about others? A lot of you will be thinking it's a Republic Day. So no questions. I will not answer your questions today. Lakshmi says option A. Avantika says option D. Sneha option C. Krishna says option B. Others are saying option D. What about others? Searching? Sir, I'm typing in Google. Please wait. I've asked Google Gemini. It is yet to answer. My dear, right option is option D. Right option is option D. India and UAE are members of all the four of the groupings that I've mentioned here. India and UAE both are members of all the four that I've mentioned here. So all the four, India and UAE are members. Okay. So option D is the right one. Let's go forward now. Next, expectations from gender budget 2026-2027. Very soon, hardly couple of days now. All of you know this by now, correct? On the 1st of February, the Union government is going to come out with the budget. All of you know this? On the 1st of February, the Union government is going to come out with a budget. And you should know the second point as well. The 1st of February this year is going to fall on Sunday. So Sunday also, no respite for you. There will be, the budget announcement. And by the way, we are going to have a detailed discussion on the same day. Do not miss out. Now, what are the important points discussed here? Lot of data has been thrown around. You do not have to memorize. You do not have to memorize the data. What are the important points? There is a concept of gender budgeting. What is the idea of gender budgeting? Earlier also we have discussed this. Just I'll give you a brief. Gender budgeting is an exercise where the government allocates the funds, utilizes the funds, and also evaluates how effectively the implementation has taken place. This exercise for promotion of gender equity is called as gender budgeting. In India, the gender budgeting exercise was introduced back in the year 2005 and 6, and since then, multiple states across India as well as union territories have implemented this. But as of now, all the states and UTs are yet to implement the concept of gender budgeting. This is point number 2. Point number 3, in the context of gender budgeting, what the article simply says is what should be expected, what should be done by the government in the upcoming budget. And please do not restrict it to upcoming budget. In the mains examination, if there is a question on how do you promote gender participation, gender equity, mention the same points. Now, what are the points here? Point number 1. If you take the total working population in India and out of that take out the women working population, you will see that 40% of India's women are now in the labor force. This is according to the latest PLFS, Periodic Labor Force Survey. 40% of the women are in the labor force and remaining 60% of the women are out of the labor force. That is, out of the total labor, out of the women population, 40% are working, 60% are out of the labor force. What is the reason? The article simply says the demand side as well as the supply side. Remember this particular terminology. The reason why we are not able to harness the women workforce, The reason why women are not able to participate in the workforce, it is not just the demand side, it is also the supply side. So the demand side as well as supply side factors or constraints are there in India. As a result of this, we are not able to harness the women population, which will contribute to the GDP, which will contribute to inclusive growth, which will contribute to empowerment of the women. So, what are the reasons? What should be done? Reason behind this is simple. One, we do not have sufficient skilled labor availability. This is applicable for all the labor, but specifically here, women labor. Skilled labor availability in terms of women population or women labor force is very less in India. And second, the kind of the jobs which are generated, when you look at the workload of a woman in a household. For example, there is a mention of time use survey, and I've mentioned this earlier as well. There is a time use survey. When you look at the time use survey, you will realize that most of the household activities, the care economy activities, are done by women. These are imposed on women in terms of, let's say, taking care of the children, taking care of the elderly, cooking in the home, filling the drinking water, etc. So these kind of activities, which is measured again under the time use survey, you will realize that the women are spending more time for taking care of all of these particular activities. So the care activities, the household activities, and because they are busy in these kind of care activities, the kind of jobs which are available in the market, these right basically ensure that the women automatically will get excluded. Because if the women are going for full-time job, they will not be able to do the full-time household activities or the work in the house. So there are certain issues, but the question is, how can the budget address this? All of you able to understand? How can budget address this? There are 5 recommendations which have been provided in this article. 5 recommendations that upcoming budget can address this kind of a inequality. First one, invest where women spend truly most of the time. Where women spend most of the time, spend money there under gender budgeting. What do you mean by that? Let's take a very simple example. The government will implement a scheme or a program where housing will be provided to women. And under Awas Yojana, it will be, that is, the house will be given in the name, the property will be registered in the name of the woman of the household. Agreed. But when you provide a house to a woman and you are expecting the woman to work in the market, that is, contribute to economic activities as well, why can't we ensure other kind of services will also be provided as a bundle when you're providing the house to the woman? What do I mean by that? If you provide house to the woman, ensure tapped water supply is made available. Ensure cooking gas is made available at the doorstep. Ensure, let's say, electricity is made available. When you do not provide these kind of basic essential services, the male of the household will basically say, I'll go to market, I'll become the breadwinner, bread earner, and you keep on taking care of, let's say, refilling of the water. You keep on taking care of the cooking, etc., etc. Everybody is able to understand here? So invest where women are mostly spending the time. That is taking care of the creche facilities, taking care of the elderly population. Provide certain facilities so that the women will not be bound by these kind of activities in the household. That is the first one. Second one, tie allocations to time measured outcomes. What do you mean by this? Right now, around 8 to 9% of the total budget is generally incurred under gender-based budgeting. Gender-based budgeting around 8 to 9%. But out of GDP, it hardly comes at around 1%. Out of GDP, it comes at around 1%. The concern that has been raised by the writers here is, when you look at the kind of schemes which are implemented under the gender-based budgeting, the government divides the schemes into 3 parts: Part A, Part B, and Part C. Simple. Part A, Part B, and Part C. In Part A, the schemes where 100% of the allocation will be used for women, that is, exclusively women beneficiaries, are covered. In Part B, more than 30% of the funds are used for women. And Part C, below 30% of the funds allocated in the scheme are used for women. But the problem is, most of the allocation, I repeat, most of the allocation are done here. Most of the allocation are done under Part B as well as Part C schemes. When you allocate most of the funds under Part B and Part C, these are not the schemes exclusively for women. It is like a scheme is being implemented, but I'll ensure some of the amount will be spent on women. So what we need to do is allocate the funds in such a way, ensure the funding will be done in such a way that more and more funds will be implemented or more and more funds will be allocated for the schemes under Part A rather than Part B and Part C. Done? In addition to that, there should be certain skilling provided to the labor, that is especially women workers, and not just skilling. Right now, the kind of jobs which are getting generated, are more requiring the kind of technology, usage of technology. That is, the workers or the job seekers should be aware of technology now. For example, artificial intelligence. So why not? There is a scheme, by the way. There is a scheme. Around a third of expenditure is allocated for women workers or women beneficiaries under the scheme. But the argument is, why not implement more schemes, allocate more funds? Because let's be very frank, most of the working population in India is male dominated. Most of the earnings which are done in India is cornered by men. According to one of the reports, 82% of the incomes generated in India are earned by men. 82%. Hardly 18% of the earnings or the salaries go to women. So, generate a demand for women-led jobs and enable, I'll go to the fourth one now. Before that, provide skill set in emerging technologies, etc. Provide skill set. Now, what is the fourth recommendation? Enable women to scale businesses. Enable women for scaling businesses. What do you mean by that? You have MSMEs in India. Around 60% of MSMEs. See, MSME simply stands for micro, small, medium enterprises. Around 60% of the MSMEs are owned by women. But when you look at how much of the funds will go to the women-led enterprises, how much of the funds under the schemes, for example, there is Mudra scheme. All of you heard of this? Do let me know in the chat section. Mudra scheme, Micro Units Development Refinance Agency. Under Mudra scheme, there are different types of products. You have Shishu, you have Kishore, you have Tarun, and the latest last year, Tarun Plus. And do let me know, by the way, those who are present, what is the maximum limit of the loan which will be provided under Mudra? Maximum limit of the loan. And those who are watching this in a recorded version, do let me know in the comment section of the video. So you have Mudra Yojana, Shishu, Kishore, Tarun and Tarun Plus. Majority of the loans which are given under Mudra generally are Shishu, that is up to 50,000 rupees. But when you look at or dissect the numbers and find out how much of the loans have gone to women entrepreneurs, you will realize that most of these loans are again Mudra. Under Mudra, it is a Shishu loans. That is up to 50,000 rupees. So if you want the women entrepreneurs to scale up the company, scale up the enterprises, they should be given access to higher loan in terms of value. Not just volume, in terms of value. That is, from Shishu, let them migrate, let them graduate to Kishore, from Kishore to Tarun, Tarun to Tarun Plus. Because the larger amount they are allowed to borrow, of course, conditions are there, repayment has to be done, etc. Larger value of the loan that they borrow, larger investment. Larger investment, they will not be just workers, they'll be wealth creators. They'll be not just creators of employment, they'll be wealth creators. That is basically how you empower women. So these are the 5 recommendations which have been provided, which should be implemented by the government. May not be, all of this cannot be done in one budget, but at least going forward, these issues should be addressed. Reforms should be implemented. Everybody is okay? Now, based on this, I've given a descriptive question for you to practice mains answer writing. The lower participation and contribution of women to the growth of Indian economy is the result of a combination of supply and demand side constraints. Elaborate and also suggest a way forward. 250 words maximum limit, and the maximum number of marks is 15 marks. Again, I'm saying whenever I take the session, I keep on reminding you, practice means answer writing. Now, based on the right discussion, here is a MCQ. Solve the MCQ and tell me the key answer quickly. Consider the following statements regarding the gender budgeting. The gender budgeting has been adopted by all the states and UTs in India. Under gender budgeting, the union government divides all the schemes into three parts. The Part A schemes include those where up to 30% of the expenditure is done on women. How many of the statements? Three statements given here are correct. Some of you are saying option A, some are saying option B. Yes, please check. Please check the statements correctly before making a mistake like this. Let's start. Gender budgeting has been adopted by all the states and UTs in India? No. Right, according to the latest data, around 27 to 28 have adopted. Many are yet to adopt. Under gender budgeting, the union government divides all the schemes into three parts. Yes, union government divides all the schemes into three parts. The Part A schemes include those where up to 30% of the expenditure is done on women. Part A essentially covers those schemes where 100% of the expenditure is done on women. Is it okay? Exclusively women beneficiaries. It is Part C where up to 30% is done. Part B where more than 30 up to 100 is done. So third statement is incorrect. Right option is option A. Right option is option A. Everybody is okay? Some of you are still saying B is the correct answer. How, my dear? And I know some of you will be checking the key answers to this using artificial intelligence. Some of you will go to that, write this AI, that AI, and you'll be checking. Please be very careful. AI will also make a mistake. Okay. So right option is option A. Let me go forward now. Next article. Governor's address. The governor's address. Okay. Let's go forward. The issues surrounding the governor's address. In recent times, there are multiple states where there have been frictions between the governor as well as the Council of Ministers, that is a state government. And again, no, I'm not talking about the passage of the bills. I'm not talking about the passage of the bills. That's a different debate. You already know what is a Supreme Court judgment regarding that. This has become the latest flashpoint in some of the states, for example, Karnataka, in the state Tamil Nadu, in state Kerala. This has become the latest flashpoint. And this is nothing new, by the way. If you're somebody who has been preparing for civils for the last 1.5 years, you would have come across the same debate even last year. So rather than doing a PhD on this, what are the important points? Let's focus on that. For example, in the context of Tamil Nadu, the governor of Tamil Nadu, for the fourth consecutive year, I hope you understand consistency, for the fourth consecutive year has walked out of the, right, let's say the session without a speech or altering the speech or refusing to give a speech, has walked out of the session. So in this context, what are the important points you need to remember? Again, what are the important points you need to remember? Just focus on that. Now, in the context of Constitution of India, whenever you see the president as well as the governor of a state, governor of the state, there are constitutional provisions. Correct? There are constitutional provisions. For example, in the context of the president, Article 87 talks about the right address to the parliament. Article 87 talks about address to the parliament. And in the context of the governor, Article 176 talks about address to the parliament. When does the president as well as the governor address the parliament as well as the legislative, state legislative respectively? Whenever there is a first session in a new year. I repeat, whenever there is a first session in a new year, they are mandated under the constitution to give a speech, to address the house. President has to address the parliament and governor has to address the state legislature. This is mandatory. This is mandatory. Now, in that particular context, there are important Supreme Court judgments. Please remember these particular judgments as well. The Shamsher Singh versus State of Punjab and Nabam Rabia versus Deputy Speaker 2016 at 1974 and 2016 Supreme Court judgment, which basically mandates that when the right, let's say the governor, because we're discussing governor, let's focus on governor. When the governor will give the address to the legislature, the governor is bound by the statement that is prepared by the Council of Ministers. Simple. All of you able to understand? The governor is bound by the statement that has been prepared by the Council of Ministers. And this is a Supreme Court judgment. It's a Supreme Court judgment. Now, what has been happening in the recent times? What has been happening? In certain cases, the governor doesn't read the speech and simply walks away. That is one. It simply doesn't read the speech, walks away. First. Second, the governor will read the speech, but not entirely what has been prepared by the Council of Ministers. And what is the importance of this particular speech? Like I said, the governor or the president will address the parliament, right? Governor, legislature, president, parliament. One, whenever it is the first session in a new year, and whenever it is the first session after the elections are over. So when the governor has to give a speech or address this particular house, the speech has to be prepared by the Council of Ministers, because the address will basically reflect what has been the performance of the state government, what has been done by the state government, what achievements have been done by the state governments, what is the policy overview of the state government. So the governor is supposed to simply read out the statement prepared by the Council of Ministers. But like I said, one, the governor or governors in multiple instances, they are not reading, they are simply walking out. Second, they are reading, but they are omitting certain paragraphs or certain lines which is part of the speech or address. They are reading, but they are altering the speech. They are altering certain statements. They are cutting certain statements. They are adding their own statement. In certain cases, the governor did not read the address prepared or the speech prepared by the government. They read their own speech completely. Although it was not a complete speech, it was hardly 2 or 3 statements. But the argument is very simple. The governor is supposed to be a communicator. The governor shall work as a mediator between the center as well as the state, shall work as a communicator between the state government as well as the people who have elected the state government. That is, a political party has been elected to run the government. But when these kind of events happen, where in particularly this has been seen in opposition ruled states, when these kind of events happen, these kind of outcomes happen, it will lead to erosion of the constitutional supremacy. Because there are articles which are mentioning that this should happen. And there are Supreme Court judgments which mandate that this should happen. But governors behaving this way essentially will lead to erosion of confidence or supremacy of the constitution. And this has been happening multiple times now. Not just once, multiple times and in multiple states. So what should be the way forward? Many experts argue, why don't we have a relook at the committee recommendations which have been given earlier? For example, Punchi Commission. All of you heard of this? Punchi Commission. Why don't we have a look at the Sarkaria Commission recommendations, etc.? With this kind of, let's say, recommendations, if they are implemented, if these are implemented, then the idea of, let's say, using the governor's office for political purposes, for destabilization of a particular government, whoever is there at the central government can be minimized. Right? So these are some of the important points associated with the article here. Now, based on the discussion, please solve the MCQ and tell me what is the correct answer. Consider the following statements regarding the governor of the state. The oath is administered by the Chief Justice of India, has powers of summoning the state legislature but does not have the powers of proroguing the same. The governor must mandatorily address the first sitting of all the three sessions held in a year. How many of the three statements are true? How many of the three statements are true? Some of you are saying option A. One of the three statements are true. Some of you are saying option D. Okay, those who are giving option A, can you please tell me what is the correct statement according to you people? Which of the three statement is correct according to you people? Let's start. The oath is administered by the Chief Justice of India. Chief Justice of India? No, this is incorrect. The Chief Justice of the respective High Court. Okay, the Chief Justice of respective High Court. Okay, has the powers of summoning the state legislature but does not have the power of proroguing the same. This is incorrect. This is incorrect because under Article 174, under Article 174, for the president it is Article 86, for the governor it is Article 174, summoning as well as proroguing. Both the powers are there. So 2 is incorrect. The governor must mandatorily address the first sitting of all the three sessions held in a year. All the three sessions. No, it is only the first session. Please remember, not all the three sessions, only the first session. So third statement is also incorrect. All the three are incorrect. Right option for the question is option D here. Can we go forward now? Everybody is okay? Can we go forward? Okay, let's go forward. The President of USA, Mr. Donald Trump, President of USA, Mr. Donald Trump at Davos. It is Article 85 for the second statement. What did I say? For the President, Article 85, correct, 85. 86, my mistake. 86 is sending, message. Sending message is Article 86, absolutely right. Aman Singh, you're right. Article 86 is sending a message. Article 85 is summoning and proroguing. But for governor, it is Article 174. And for sending a message for the governor, it is Article 175. Okay, let's go forward. Mr. Donald Trump at Davos. I don't know how many of you have seen the recent Davos summit. If you are yet to, at least read the important outcomes of the Davos summit. Please read the outcomes. Some of the statements that have been given by multiple heads of the states were actually chilling in nature, chilling. Because generally when the Davos summit happens, the discussion is about promoting global trade. The discussion is about making investments. The discussion is about how do we make corporate sector much more effective, etc. But this time the discussion has been much more towards, let's say security, much more towards the global, failing global order, etc. And the kind of statements that have been given by the President of USA, marginalizing the European allies, criticizing the European allies, and European allies also taking a pot shot, towards the USA. All of this has basically raised a concern. It has raised a concern now. That is essentially is the global order which was existing until now, where USA used to provide the public goods. The USA used to provide lot of public goods, used to be global leader in terms of what? In terms of providing technology, in terms of providing protection. Military was used for protection purposes, not raiding, not invading purposes. Lot of technology used to be provided. The global trade was promoted. So the kind of global order that was existing until now, is it crumbling? In fact, I don't know how many of you heard of the Canadian Prime Minister, Mr. Carney's speech. Mr. Carney basically echoed the same. He said, make no mistake. Look at the statement. Make no mistake. If you're not at the table, you're on the menu. All of you able to understand my statement here? I'll repeat it again. If you're not at the table, you're on the menu. And that is where he stated that the middle countries, the middle order countries should come together. And this kind of a shift that is happening, it is not just a marginal change. The whole global trade order is going to have a big change now. Rather than being dependent on USA, we should come together and basically ensure we conduct trade with each other. We have cooperation with each other in terms of defense, in terms of security, etc. Now, in that particular context, what are the important points mentioned in the article? And yesterday, right, I don't know how many of you heard of this. This is an important update. Yesterday, Mr. Donald Trump has threatened the country Canada with 100% tariffs. Mr. Trump has threatened Canada with 100% tariffs. What is the logic? Canada is negotiating a trade deal with China. And China is essentially looking at increasing its presence, right? In Africa, it is already present. South America, it is present. Now they want to hold or conduct more trade relations with other countries in the Western Hemisphere, especially using the Arctic route. Using the Arctic route, right? What is the Arctic route? Basically, we have seen that the ice in the Arctic region, the Arctic Circle, the ice is melting. And this melting of ice now has provided a new leeway, has provided a new opportunity for China to leverage this particular, right, let's say the melting of the ice, use the routes to supply, conduct trade with other countries using this particular route. Essentially, that is northern sea route. Northern sea route. NSR, Northern Sea Route. And according to the USA, Western Hemisphere, according to their latest national security policy, the Western Hemisphere is completely right under their control. They should have the dominance in the Western Hemisphere. They should not allow any other country's presence there. Forget about any other country, especially China. They don't want their presence to be in the Western Hemisphere. So in that particular context, what will be the outcome of this kind of a, let's say, new arising trade order or new arising global order? That is being discussed in the article. And in addition to that, as usual, Greenland. As usual, Greenland. Right? I'm not going to discuss the same issue associated with Greenland, why Trump is interested there, what is the problem with, right, invading Greenland, etc., etc. I know you have heard it 100 times by now. I don't want to repeat the same thing. Okay. So these are some of the important things that are discussed in the article. Now, based on the one word which has been mentioned in the article, there is one word which has been mentioned. Please do let me know how many of you have come across this particular word in recent times. Inuit's Circumpolar Council. Inuit's Circumpolar Council. Of course, yes, the word is mentioned in the article, but before this, how many of you have heard of this? Inuit's Circumpolar Council. Now, in the context of Arctic, please read about Arctic Council. That has been mentioned earlier, discussed earlier also. Focus on the Arctic Council. That is, how many members are there, right? Permanent members. How many, right, are allowed to vote? Which country is present? Which type of councils are present, etc. But in addition to all of this, in the Arctic Council, there is one permanent participant. There is one permanent participant, right? The permanent participant that I'm referring to is the Inuit's Circumpolar Council, ICC. And before you simply say, is this the cricketing body ICC? No, it's a different ICC altogether. And I know ICC cricketing body is also in the newspaper. And by the way, let me ask you a question. Where is the headquarters of the other ICC, that is cricketing body, present? Very recently it was there, right? In the newspaper it was there. Where is the headquarters of International Cricket Council located? Do let me know the answer. Now, but let me talk about this. The ICC that I've mentioned here essentially is an international NGO. It is an international NGO, non-governmental organization. It has members who are representing different countries. That is, we have, right, the membership from the countries such as Canada, Greenland, Alaska, and also Chukotka, right? That is basically a Russian territory. Okay, so these are the countries from which the members are represented in this particular NGO. And what is the role of this NGO? It basically tries to protect the, let's say, the rights of the natives here, right? Inuits are the natives. All of you able to understand? Inuits are nothing but the natives who are residing in this particular region. So the main objective of the ICC is to protect, it is an NGO to protect right, the rights of the indigenous people. Okay, so it is a body established under the United Nations. This statement is incorrect. It is incorrect. It's an NGO. It's not under United Nations. It was founded in 1977. Yes, the statement is true, by the way. It is a permanent participant of the Arctic Council. Yes, it is a permanent participant of Arctic Council. Yes, this particular statement is also true. By the way, how many permanent countries or how many countries are permanent members of Arctic Council? Do let me know how many countries are permanent members of Arctic Council. Right? So in this case, the right option will be option B, only two. And before somebody says, sir, you ask question but you don't tell the answer. The ICC, cricketing body, ICC, the headquarters of ICC is present in UAE. UAE, that is one. And how many countries are permanent members of Arctic Council? 8 members. 8 members. That is 8 countries are permanent members of Arctic Council. And before you ask the third question, sir, India? Tell me, on this Republic Day, tell me, is India member of Arctic Council, permanent member? No. By the way, no. Okay, let's go forward. India, European Union, showing a fractured world, another way to engage. What are the important points here? The heads of European Union, right? The heads of European Union, that is European Council President, and right, the other person, right, the European Trade Commission, the chairperson or the president. So the heads of the European Union. Again, I'm repeating, the EC, European Commission President. I said Trade Commission, no. European Commission President as well as European Council. The President of European Council and European President. Okay. So these two people have been invited by Government of India to preside as the chief guest of, right, the Republic Day. India's Republic Day, the 77th Republic Day. But along with this, there are other important things that are going to happen today as well as tomorrow. What are the other important things? Point number one. With the recent frictions that have been happening between India and USA and European Union and USA, this provides a very good opportunity for both of these countries. I'm saying countries, I know that. Both of these countries to come together and basically, right, sign certain agreements. Now, what kind of agreements are expected to be signed in the coming days? The first important agreement is the trade agreement. The first important one is the trade agreement. The total bilateral trade. Again, I'm using the word very loosely here. I know European Union is a group of 27 countries. I know that. Please don't remind me later. But rather than simply saying group and country, let's simplify this. The total amount of trade between European Union as well as India is more than $136 billion. Is more than $136 billion. Now, basically, the argument is both, that is India and European Union, should sign a trade agreement providing market access to each other's exporters. And mind you, this trade agreement is not a new thing which is being discussed, by the way. Initially, the trade agreement discussion started in 2007. Then the stalling happened in 2013. The negotiations stopped. And in the year 2022, again the trade negotiations came into picture. The negotiations started all over again. So after the negotiations for the last 4 or 5 years, we have finally come to this particular agreement where it is being called as mother of all the trade deals. I don't want to speculate what will be done. Lot of speculation is happening in today's newspapers as well. Most probably tomorrow there will be a clearer picture. But before I go forward to the second point, do not assume that once the trade agreement is signed, everything will be, right, addressed. That is, the trade issues would be addressed between both of them. Absolutely no. Absolutely no. Please be very careful about this. Why? You will sign the trade agreement. But once you sign, it has to be ratified by the European Commission. The European Parliament. It has to be ratified there. It has to be approved there. And this particular approval process might simply take up to 1 year according to many of the experts. Up to 1 year. And at the same point of time, what European Union has done a couple of days ago is many of the products which were exported from India, many of the products which were exported from India, the GSP benefits which were given to these particular products have been withdrawn. Is everybody okay? Many of the exports which were done from India to the European market, how much? 87% by value. 87% by value, right? Not a small number, 87% by value. So 87% of the value of the products or the goods which were exported from India to the European market, which enjoyed GSP benefit, right? That particular benefit has been withdrawn. So the argument of many of the experts was, what will happen? Right? The trade agreement is ready. The trade agreement will be signed. Yes, the trade agreement might be signed, but the implementation is not going to happen immediately after the signing of the agreement. It will take at least 1 year. So at that point of time, what will happen to India's exports? That's a question. This is the first very important point. Again, if you need a separate video, right, why India and European Union trade agreement is important, right? And once the trade agreement is signed, if you need a separate video, do let me know. Let me know in the comment section. This is the first important point. And somebody is asking, what is GSP? Generalized system of preferences. GSP is generalized system of preferences. Okay, that is one developed country. When imports will come from developing country, certain benefits in terms of lower tariff are imposed. Okay, let me go forward. Second important area where you can expect an agreement is mobility pacts. India has been entering into trade agreements with multiple countries, right? We have entered into trade agreement with UAE. We have entered into trade agreement with Saudi Arabia, Australia for that matter. We are negotiating with USA, although the negotiations have been happening in multiple rounds now, right? With the European Union, we are negotiating. With many of these particular countries, our focus has been on having one or the other kind of mobility pacts. That is, we have huge population of, let's say, pool of workers, skilled workers, software engineers, service professionals, right? The students who want to learn in foreign universities, etc. So these kind of mobility pacts will facilitate the movement of the students, the workers, etc. For example, in the context of India and New Zealand, this is one of the very important areas covered. The third very important area, this is also very important by the way, where you can expect an agreement is the defense and security. Defense and security agreement. Right? Already European Union has negotiated, right? It has negotiated a defense and security agreement with two other Asian countries. Right? One is Japan and the other one is South Korea. The two other nations in Asia which have negotiated a security and defense pact with European Union is Japan and South Korea. We expect this kind of agreement on the lines of defense and security with European Union as well. Done? So what will be the details or the contours of this particular agreement? Once the agreement is signed and the details are out, only then you can evaluate. But these are the three very important areas where we're expecting agreements to be signed between the European Commission or the European representatives, the Indian representatives. Done? Okay, let's go forward now. Couple of more articles, small articles relevant for more prelims now, only prelims. ExoMiner plus plus. ExoMiner plus plus. What is this ExoMiner plus plus? It's basically an artificial intelligence which has been developed by NASA. It is an artificial intelligence which has been developed by NASA. Earlier version was called as ExoMiner. The earlier version was ExoMiner. Now, the next version of it has been used, which is nothing but ExoMiner double plus. Okay, it's like basically when you went to your school, not high school by the way, basically school, when you did the drawing, the teacher would have given A. Somebody will do a better drawing, A plus, A double plus, etc. Again, don't write this in an exam, just to lighten the mood. So ExoMiner, right, plus plus, it's a next version AI which has been developed by NASA. What is basically the use of this artificial intelligence? It will use the data, analyze the data which has been collected by multiple systems. right? There is a lot of data which is collected already. You have Kepler mission, etc. Lot of data is already there, but we need to analyze the data in the correct way to find out the exoplanets. We need to analyze the data to find out exoplanets. Exoplanets essentially are those particular planets which are out of our solar system. Out of our solar system. So we need to analyze this particular data, and that is where this artificial intelligence will come into picture. So these are the important points. Don't do a PhD beyond this. Okay, let's go forward. India-Indonesia Maritime Ties. India-Indonesia Maritime Ties. Indian Navy very recently has conducted a 3-day, right, let's say sessions or drills, etc., along with Indonesian Navy. What is the importance of this? There is a particular term mentioned here. Indonesia is a key member of Indian Ocean Naval Symposium. Indian Ocean Naval Symposium. The short form of this is IO, right? Yes, IONS. Only this point is important. The IONS, Indian Ocean Naval Symposium, it's an initiative of Indian Navy. Point number 1. It is an initiative of Indian Navy. It was introduced back in the year 2008, and so far there are 25 navies which are part of the symposium. 25 navies. In this particular region, 25 navies are members of the symposium. And what is the use of this? Essentially using this, right, the coordination, cooperation, joint exercises, cultural exchanges, etc. will be conducted. So beyond this, right, nothing else is important in the article, only 3 or 4 points. Now, last article for today, Padma Awards. Nation honors 131 personalities with Padma Awards. Now, to make it much more interesting, I've also given you a picture from Business Line newspaper. Please go to the picture. What is the importance of the picture? In this year's, right, let's say the Republic Day parade, what are the important standout points? The parade, what are the important standout points? And in the last 10 years, who are the chief guests? Although you don't have to memorize, but just for sake of information. And in the last 10 years, when the Padma Awards have been issued, every Republic Day, this is an exercise conducted by the government. That is people who have achieved, people who have done some achievement in different areas of that, let's say the civilian life, they will be identified and they will be honored. Right? You have Padma Vibhushan, we have Padma Shri, right? We also have Padma Shri, Padma Bhushan and Padma Vibhushan, from the lowest in terms of dignity to the highest, right? So Padma Shri, Padma Bhushan and Padma Vibhushan, right? So these kind of awards are given. So suddenly, let's say hypothetically, just to make the question very difficult, what if UPSC will ask you this question? In the last 10 years, majority of the Padma Awards have gone into which of the fields? Again, I know, very unlikely, but you never know. UPSC's U stands for unpredictability. UPSC's U stands for unpredictability. Just to make the question very difficult, they can ask you this. So please go through this particular, right, let's say the pictorial or the picture which has been provided, which will give you the breakup. Obviously, it has to be arts. It has to be arts for all the 3 categories, be it Padma Shri, Padma Bhushan or Padma Vibhushan. But in addition to this, the Padma Awards for the first time were introduced back in the year 1954. In addition to that, right, I've already told you this point. These awards, the 3 categories, are generally awarded on the Republic Day of India. Done? Everybody's okay? So these are the articles, the concepts, as well as the questions I wanted to discuss with you people in today's session. If you've liked the discussion, do not forget to hit the like button. If you're yet to join our YouTube channel, kindly do it right now. But if you have doubts, any kind of concerns, issues, etc., drop in the chat section your concern. I will address it now. Avantika Pandey, Rohit Sharma and Harmanpreet Kaur. Okay. Most of you will be focused only on the cricket, no? What about other people? Right? More than 100 people have been awarded. but focus will be on film stars as well as cricketers always. But focus on other important, let's say, achievers as well. Ha! Harsai, sir, CA also included in tomorrow's test, my dear. Current affairs have already taken two sessions. From January to June, there was one session, and July to December, there was one session. So, tomorrow, can there be current affairs? Yes, couple of questions will be current affairs, but a lot of them will be on the static portion. It is to ensure that you are confident about your preparation because you are in the last cycle or last stage of your preparation. It has to be revision, revision, revision. It will essentially make you understand your level of preparation, and it will also highlight the areas of weaknesses. So just get yourself tested by attempting these kind of tests before UPSC will test you. Done? So that's it from my side. Take care. See you tomorrow sharp at 5 p.m. again. Have a great day.